They say, in the old Apache lands, love wasn't just about the heart. It was about honor. And that day, 12 of the greatest warriors stood beneath the crimson sunset, each of them ready to fight, not for land, not for gold, but for the hand of the Apache chief's daughter. Ayana. The sky burned orange, and the dust of the valley carried stories of courage. Ayana, the chief's only daughter, Wudaz, was known across the plains for her fierce spirit and kind heart. Her tribe called her the Dawn Light, because wherever she went, darkness seemed to fade. But this story wasn't about beauty. It was about the storm that came before love. 3 nights before the ceremony, the Apache camp was attacked by a band of raiders, wild men who hunted for horses, guns and women. They came without warning under the howl of a cold desert moon. Fire tore through the tents. Screams echoed through the valley. Ayana ran, barefoot, carrying a small child on her back, her breath heavy with fear. Her people, strong, proud, fought with everything they had. But they were outnumbered. The tribe was falling apart. And that's when, from the dark edge of the forest, a stranger rode in. No one knew his name. No one knew where he came from. He was just a shadow on a black horse, wearing a worn-out hat and a gun strapped low on his belt. One of the warriors whispered, "A white man. Stay away from him." But that stranger didn't listen. He charged right into the flames. He fought like a man who had nothing left to lose. He pulled a wounded child from the fire, threw a tomahawk at a raider trying to take Ayana, and shot another before the smoke could hide him. His eyes were cold, like steel forged in sorrow. When the sun rose again, the raiders were gone. The tribe stood in silence, and the stranger lay bleeding near the edge of the river with his hat over his chest. Ayana knelt beside him. She touched the wound on his shoulder and whispered, "Why did you save us?" He smiled weakly, his voice low, rough like the desert wind. "Because once someone didn't save my family. Maybe this time I could make it right." For 3 days, Ayana cared for him. She washed his wounds, brought him water, and sat beside his fire. Her father, the chief, watched in silence. The tribe didn't trust outsiders, especially not a white man. But this one had risked his life for them. The stranger never gave his name. He spoke little. But when he looked at Ayana, there was a quiet respect, not desire, not pride, just understanding. Soon word spread across the valley. The chief's daughter would be married. 12 of the bravest Apache warriors came forward, each ready to prove their worth. The air was thick with tension. Drums echoed through the canyon as the warriors lined up before the tribe. They would fight, not to the death, but to prove their strength, their spirit. Ayana watched from a distance, her heart heavy. Her father stood beside her and said, "My daughter, the tribe must be led by courage. Choose a man who can protect our people." She nodded, but her eyes wandered toward the forest, where the stranger sat quietly by his horse, far from the celebration, his arms still bandaged. The first warrior stepped forward, strong as an ox, muscles carved by years of battle. He lifted a boulder above his head and shouted, "For Ayana!" The crowd cheered. The second warrior rode his horse through fire, fearless, proud. The third caught a wild stallion with his bare hands. All 12 warriors displayed their strength, their skill, their passion. But Ayana's heart stayed silent. Then came the final moment. The chief raised his staff and said, "Ayana, daughter of the Apache, the time has come. Choose your warrior." The 12 men stood tall, their eyes burning with hope. The entire tribe watched. Even the children held their breath. Ayana stepped forward. Her heart pounded in her chest. She looked at the 12 warriors, each brave, strong, worthy. But her gaze didn't stop there. She turned and pointed toward the shadow standing near the edge of the forest. The stranger. Gasps echoed through the crowd. The warriors turned in disbelief. The chief frowned. "That man is not one of us. He has no tribe, no name." Ayana's voice was calm but firm. "He has a heart, father, and that is enough. When our tribe burned, it wasn't the strongest who saved us. It was him. When death came for us, it wasn't courage that saved me. It was kindness." The chief stared at his daughter for a long time. Then he looked at the stranger. Quiet, humble, still standing far away, not expecting anything. Finally, the chief nodded. Then so be it. The hand of my daughter belongs to the man who saved our tribe. The stranger walked forward slowly. He took off his hat, bowed his head, and said softly, I ain't worthy of her hand, Chief. I was just doing what was right. Ayana smiled. Sometimes what's right is all a heart needs. The crowd fell silent. Then slowly they began to cheer. Not for the strongest, not for the bravest, but for the man who had given everything without asking for anything in return. And that night, as the fire danced under the stars, the stranger sat beside Ayana, looking at the endless desert. He whispered, I never thought I'd find peace in this world again. She looked at him, her eyes glowing in the firelight. You didn't find peace, stranger. You created it. And from that day on, the legend spread across the Wild West of the 12 warriors who fought for love, but lost to a heart that knew sacrifice. And maybe that's what true love is, partner. Not power, not pride, but the courage to do what's right, even when no one's watching. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button